Hey everybody, it's your pal Jonah back again with another video. I think your channel is kind of in trouble when you've run out of lack of content jokes. So recently, I've been going through my video analytics and I've noticed something that I never really expected. My anime related videos get a ton of views, even the really bad ones. Now, when I used to upload somewhat regularly, I did this thing where every month I would recommend an anime video. And then of course I stopped uploading every month, so it's been irrelevant for the past year or so. But back when I used to do this, I tried to think of anime recommendations that would be good for first timers, for people who have never watched an anime before. However, I've come to realize that being a newcomer to the moe world of anime is a lot more complicated than just finding a good first show to watch. Also, I forgot to mention this, but it's really hot today, so my fan is on, so if you hear it in the background, I'm sorry, but I'm not turning it off. Someone keeps hammering. It is not hammer time. The anime world is a pink-haired jungle full of pitfalls that will scare you away forever if you're not careful. Since I don't want any of my viewers to be unknowingly sucked into a pit of acid trips and tentacles, I thought I would give you guys a little sort of roadmap to help you navigate the world of anime. This is the official Jonah Entertainment First Timers Anime Survival Guide. First off, let's go over a few terms that you will need to know, starting off with genres. Likely the two most common genres you will come across are shonen and shoujo. These are very broad genres that include everything from romantic comedies to sci-fi epics. Basically, shonen and shoujo translate to boy and girl. So these are shows marketed towards, you guessed it, boys and girls, which I guess is kind of sexist, but we'll just ignore that for now. Similar to shonen and shoujo are seinen and josei, which mean man and woman, so you can probably guess what those are. But just in case you can't, they're shows marketed towards adults. They're not adults, if you know what I mean. They're just marketed towards more mature audience. So these will be shows with a little more complicated plots, maybe some mature violence and language and stuff like that. It could be Game of Thrones, but it might also just be Breaking Bad. Getting into some more specific genres and into some genres you may want to avoid, we have ecchi. Ecchi is in that gray area where it's not quite hentai, but if your mom walked in on you watching it, you'd probably have some explaining to do. While there isn't technically any nudity, these shows include things like skimpy outfits, censored nudity, and nippleless boobs. I cannot believe I am talking about this. When I started this channel, this is not where I thought it would go. Moving on from something that might get this video flagged, we have something that will definitely get this video flagged. Hentai. It's porn. I mean, I'm not gonna mince words, that's literally what it is. Yaoi and yuri. Depending on who you are, these may be genres that you want to stay far away from, or you may want to go out and find them immediately. I'm not here to judge, I'm just giving you the facts. Again, I'm not gonna mince words here. Yaoi is gay and yuri is lesbian. Similar to yaoi and yuri, but significantly less known, are shonen ai and shoujo ai. Savvy viewers may be able to deduce what these words mean, but for those of you who are a little slow on the uptake, shonen ai and shoujo ai are boys love and girls love. It's very similar to yaoi and yuri, but a lot more tame. These are usually the fluffy kind of romance stories that you'd see on Hallmark, but gay. Now, the reason these words are very important to know is because one time I was reading this manga that I thought was shonen. But if you can't tell from the tone of my voice, it wasn't shonen. It was shonen ai. And I didn't realize this until I was already invested in the characters and what was happening, so of course I had to finish it. It was pretty good. Moving on from genres, here are just some general terms that you probably would like to know. Otaku and weeaboo. These are both pretty much slang terms for anime fans, but they are very important to know because there is a very big difference between the two. Cringe.
Yes! Oh, yes! That was awful.
Otaku is actually the general Japanese word for nerd, but in a Western context, it means specifically anime nerd. Now, weeaboo, often shortened to just weeb or disgusting anime trash, is someone who is obsessed with everything Japanese, to the point where they actually wish they were Japanese. Now, you may be thinking, Jonah, wait a minute, aren't you obsessed with Japanese culture? Yes, but there is a big difference between me and a weeaboo. One, I actually know what I'm talking about. I know a lot about the culture, and I know a decent amount of the language. Two, while I am cringy, I'm not nearly as cringy as these people. Waifu. Now, how does one describe a waifu? A waifu is an abstract concept. Describing it is like trying to describe the value of the Mona Lisa. It's a faint memory of yours, like a fleeting smile, or a nostalgic smell, or Oh, who am I kidding? It's an anime cat girl you want to bang. It's not weird. Husbando. A husbando is very similar to waifu, except instead of a cute anime cat girl, it's a hot buff anime guy you want to marry. Or any character from Free. Manga. Now, when I first started watching anime, I didn't know this, but apparently a lot of people did before they watched anime. So that just makes me feel stupid, but I'm gonna describe what it is anyway. What many people, or at least me, don't know when they first start watching anime is that many anime are actually based off of what are called mangas, which are basically just Japanese comic books. Mecha. Mecha are shows, usually sci-fi, that involve giant robots duking it out. Now, while that may just sound like Transformers, been animated, let me tell you, it is way more than that. Some of the best renowned series of all time are mecha. A lot of them have really complex stories, socio-political commentary, or are just completely weird. They're great, and a lot of them are surprisingly complex and existential. Finally, Emoto. If you see a show tagged Emoto, avoid it like it's the plague. No, I'm not going to describe it. All I'll say is it's like someone saw that scene in the first episode of Game of Thrones, you know, that scene, and decided to make that the premise for an entire show, except they're in middle school and not related by blood. That's very important. They are not related by blood. I don't know why they exist. Japan, you've given us a lot of good things. We did not need Emoto shows. So that's it for some must-know terms if you're just starting out. So let's move on into some more specific tips for a first-timer. Rule number 1, don't try just one anime. Contrary to popular belief, anime is not a genre. It's a medium. If you watch one and don't like it, don't give up. That's like watching one TV show and giving up on TV for the rest of your life, like a homeschooler. You'd be missing out on Breaking Bad, Vikings, Westworld, House of Cards, all because you didn't like Jessie. Fun fact, she's married to Josh Dunn. That's just something I thought was pretty interesting, and it's also completely unrelated to this video. Number 2, don't go in blind. One of the worst things you can do is just pick a random popular show and go into it completely blind. Don't do that. Don't do it! Because most popular shows aren't that good. Instead, ask someone you know who watches anime and whose opinions you trust and has similar tastes to you for recommendations. Rule number 3, read some synopses. If you don't have any friends who watch anime or just don't have any friends in general, then just go onto Netflix, read some synopses, and pick one that sounds interesting to you. Now, this does run some risk, as a lot of really terrible shows have synopses that seem really interesting. If you want some extra security, there's this great website called myanimelist.net, link in the description, where you can look up anime and read some user reviews. That way you don't just dive right in and accidentally watch The Irregular at Magic High School. It's not good. Rule number 4. I say rule number 4, but as I'm reading my script, it's more of just a tip than a rule to follow. If you've already seen a show that you've liked and you want to see more shows like that, let me direct you back to my anime list. Link in the description. If you look up an anime on my anime list, link in the description. There is a recommendations tab, which is actually a community run tab that lists shows that are similar to the one you just watched, with explanations on how they're similar. What's great about this is that you can not only find shows that are similar, you can also find shows that are similar in very specific ways. If you liked the revenge aspect of Attack on Titans, but wasn't super crazy about them dummy thick Titan butts, you can find other shows that also deal with the theme of revenge in a similar way. If you like the monster fights, you can find other shows about people fighting giant monsters. And if you did like them thick Titan butts, you can find some Bibles that you should definitely read, you filthy human. Finally, experiment. Get out of your comfort zone. Find some zany shows you wouldn't normally watch. A lot of anime have weird concepts that would never work in live action, but work really well in anime. Get freaky with it. Just not too freaky. Some of my favorite shows are shows that I never thought I'd watch in a million years. For instance, if you had told me that a show about Satan getting trapped in modern day Tokyo and having to get a job at McDonald's to survive would be good, I never would have believed you. Or if a show about a penniless tomboy forced to work for a club of hot, rich high school boys would be one of the most funny and heartwarming shows I'd ever watch, I would have scoffed. Granted, I wouldn't have had to question all of my life choices, but You win some, you lose some. One of the great things about anime is that the episodes are only 20 minutes long, meaning if you don't like a show, you really haven't wasted that much of your time. To end this guide, let's ask one of the most common questions people who don't watch anime have. Why should I care? And usually it involves them throwing something at me. Well, I'll tell you. Now, I've talked about this on my channel before, so I'm not going to repeat myself. So all I'm going to say is this. Anime is a beautiful and fascinating art medium filled with all kinds of stories. From a slow slice of life about shogi and depression to crazy fantasy epics spanning over 100 episodes and including sentient bugs. Now, someone pointed this out to me. You know who you are. So I'm going to say, yes, I'm aware. Sentient bugs are not the most interesting thing about Hunter x Hunter. I just did it for the bit, okay? It's a joke. Calm down. Unlike other fandoms or shows where you have to wait a whole year for a new season, or years, if you're a fan of Sherlock, you'll never run out of quality shows to watch. For instance, my plan to watch list has done nothing but grow in the 5 years I've been watching anime. Plus, while your average live action show can last anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour, an anime episode is just 20 minutes. So if you're pressed for time, no worries. Now, while there are a lot of negatives, what with toxicity and elitism in the community, and cringe lords that turn people off, that's for another time. So I'll end with this. Anime is worth it if you give it a shot. And while it may seem a bit daunting of a task at first, it's actually a lot easier to get into than you think. So there you have it, the official Jonah Entertainment First Timers Anime Survival Guide. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you let me know by hitting that like button. And if you haven't already, you can subscribe by hitting that big red subscribe button or clicking on my channel icon in this end screen. And if you want to see more, you can check out my last video and you can hit that little notification bell. That way you're notified every time I upload a new video. For now, this is your pal Jonah signing off and saying see you next time on Jonah Entertainment. Bye everybody!